Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to another live stream this evening. Hello. Like the live stream, like the live stream. Kind of a computer do you have? Evidently not a very good one, based off of the amount of times the Wi-Fi goes out with it. Now that's more of a Wi-Fi issue. I do have a real decent computer. It's a PC. It's like $1,500, I think. I don't know. How do you deal with commies and anti-ICE retards at your college? I would just avoid them. I mean, what's I guess it depends on the social situation, but just hang out with people that aren't like that. But I'm sure they're all over the place. You're watching the Turning Point halftime show? Yeah, I don't really think that. I mean, I think it's stupid, honestly. But I think both of them are stupid. I think in general, sports are just eroding in North America. Sports are eroding. There's no hype for this game, and they have this just shitty halftime show, and this is going to be this huge spectacle where people just make it this massive thing tomorrow, one way or another. They're going to bitch about it or they're going to cheer it, and everybody's just going to be like, we don't know what he's saying. Yeah, because it's stupid. Because they're a globalist league. They don't care about American fans. The reason they're bringing this dude that speaks Spanish in is because they want to globalize the league. Do a video for your brother's birthday. I don't know. I don't really do the cameo stuff. I don't have a cameo. Thoughts on Fuentes telling people to stay home for midterms? Huh. Yeah, I mean, he's been counter signaling Trump for like 3 years, 4 years, so that doesn't really surprise me, honestly. I'm a Bad Bunny guy. Yeah, I don't even think he speaks English in general. I think pretty much all of his songs are in Spanish from what I was seeing. Do you think Trump will apologize for the Obama 8 video? That was pretty crazy because it wasn't even it really wasn't even what was meant to be shown, but just these boomer people are like, look at the screenshot, look at the screenshot. If you actually look into the story, it's a little bit more complicated than him just showing an ape video of Obama. I don't know. I think he said that if he offended anyone, he was sorry or something. I think he just said he doesn't give a fuck really about it. That's what I believe. I mean, it's such a ridiculous thing that just more mass hysteria, and then they manipulate the situation, and that's not even really. If you look at it, it's an actual. It's like an AI video that depicts all of them as animals. It was bad optics, but people will forget about it in 2 months. People will forget about it by next week. That's just kind of how it works now. It's just going to be forgotten about by next week. It doesn't matter. I mean, Trump's already had so many of these scandal things. This doesn't really matter to. I don't think it's really going to affect anything. Bitcoin going lower. Maybe a dead cat bounce. Maybe a bull trap. This seems like a classic bull trap. I think it probably is going lower. I think it is unfortunately going lower. I'm ready to make a sizable investment into a high cap AI coin, I think. I'm about ready. Wow, $100 donation. Christina, I appreciate that. That's very nice of you. I wasn't expecting that. It's a bit of a light crowd. $100 donation. I'll take that for an hour's worth of work. That's a good payday for me. $2 billion was liquidated in crypto in the past week. Yeah, but then it just gets thrown back into the market within a month anyways. It doesn't really. I mean, there's these dips, but inevitably crypto is gonna grow. I mean, you can have these dips, but the only question is is it a confirmed bear market that's gonna be going into the summer? If that's the case, it's probably gonna go to like 40K from what I heard. If it's at like 65 right now. BlackRock now owns 20% of all BTC because of this crash. What have they been buying? A bunch of it. U.S. Olympic athletes trash America in the Winter Games in Italy. Yeah, I don't really see how that's relevant. Honestly, what athletes are saying, I think they're prone to mass hysteria. Those are the same type of athletes that were saying defund the police 5 years ago, or I guess at this point almost 6 years ago. So they're prone to mass hysteria. It's very hard for them to think for themselves. It's groupthink. So they want to appear to the tribe like they care about minorities, and so they try and say the right thing. And the right thing for them, I guess, is projected to hate on ICE. But again, it's mass hysteria, and really, it's like simpleton groupthink. Again, it's the same way they said there shouldn't be police officers because the police are racist. These exact same athletes were saying that 6 years ago. They're not the smartest people. Let's be honest. A lot of them don't really have the ability to formulate a organic opinion on the problems with not having ICE, or just in general. You look at you do potentially a bigger video of this and the impediment of what's happening with ICE. And I've seen a lot of stuff that's come out now to where all these other cities, these liberal cities, where there's just mass illegal immigration, it's a hotbed for them. They're saying, well, ICE better not come here. We're going to defend our city. What does that mean? I mean, ICE, this is what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to deport people. So if we elect Trump justly and we're not allowed to deport anyone, well, that's going to be a big problem. Okay, now we're talking about something that's probably not going to be democratic if they don't allow us to deport these people. Skiers and figure skaters are the usual suspects. Hmm. I mean, what do you mean? I mean, this. Are you being sarcastic? According to the race to the White House, yeah, I know the race to the White House. Very biased pollster. Don't Isn't the race to the White House not a pollster? It just combines a bunch of polls into a composite. They probably combine more liberal polls, I would say, but I don't think they're a pollster. The race to the White House, they're just an aggregate system. They're just like an aggregate where they they've got it as a tilt Republican. The governorship, yeah, that's probably right. Honestly, I think that is right because I think Ramaswamy would be up by like 3 or 4 right now. So that's probably right on the money. I think Ramaswamy is going to win just because of the base, the Republican base in Ohio, but not the most adequate candidate for independent people in Ohio. There's no question. What city isn't liberal? Right, isn't it? It is insane that pretty much every major city, every urban center is liberal and heavily, heavily diverse. Have you seen Stephen Miller getting heat from the MAGA crowd? Not really, honestly. I know he gets heat from the dissident right, but they're always going to be angry. They're not going hard enough on the deportations and stuff. And obviously, the Trump administration, I mean, you can see it. Trump wants to appear likable. And so he's more flexible. He's reasonable in cases. People aren't going to want to believe that because a lot of people think he's the devil. But you can tell based on his rhetoric, based on how he acts, he wants to be liked by a lot of these people. He's still a boomer at heart. So there's really not this cruelness that a lot of these dissident right people think is needed to perform these mass deportations with very little emotion. But also, you would have to invoke major executive authorities, which Trump obviously hasn't done. I mean, there's been multiple times where he could have invoked the Insurrection Act, which you would figure if he's this crazy fascist, he would be using all the executive authority in the world. And he could potentially justify it by saying, this is what I was elected on. Colorado Springs. Yeah, Colorado Springs is the biggest majority white city in terms of population, I believe. It's like one or two. I'm not sure which one it is exactly. It's like top two, though. Appreciate the live streams. Mega Projects video was really cool. Good work. I'm a big fan of the mega projects. I'm a big fan of giant structures in general, so that was a fun video to do. But I already knew a lot about those. Maybe not a ton about the X Seed 4000, but the other three I knew a lot about already. But I could do a lot of those videos. It's just they just have to get views. Trump's cut off U.S. aid to EU loving terrorists. Loving Ireland, Scotland will celebrate. Yeah, but I mean, what does that really affect? USA doesn't really supplement much money. I highly doubt it to the European countries. They saved like $20 billion. That's a drop in the bucket. Thoughts on Michigan not going overseas? That was a dumb idea by them to do that. They were gonna they were going to really make it hard on themselves with travel, and I think they realized it. So they said we're not going to do it. They would have had to play that game week 0, but even still, the travel is brutal. Even if you play it week 0 and give yourself a bye week 1. Too many people think we care about their opinions. The celebrities, athletes, no one gives a fuck. Well, I think you can just see through a lot of the virtue signaling on what they think. But again, it's all hysteria. They're not actually using logic. But this is like a fundamental. To me, it's just more of like the modern liberal thesis. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of why the United States became so successful. It genuinely, and this goes back to demographical makeup. It's a misunderstanding. They do not understand how the United States, in terms of our demographic composite, was so successful, and the reason, and they think it was this crazy diversity that just came all into this one country and made it so amazing. And so if there's the fundamental difference is really, I think, that between all sides. That's the whole thing with ICE. They say, well, we need to let these immigrants in because everyone's an immigrant and all this and that. And they just don't understand the history of the country. And so it's a big problem. Mass exodus coming from Virginia, 2028 election. PA, North Carolina are going to get a lot new a lot. Yeah, I've heard Virginia is just doing insane stuff in terms of just the liberal policy they're passing there. And so maybe maybe you will get more conservatives in Pennsylvania, and you can shore up that state. Virginia, in terms of the general, it's unfortunate what happened with the governors and the fact that Youngkin could only run, for the first term. You can't run again because Youngkin would have won. He would have won re-election. So think about how quickly that turned. Think about that. Youngkin wins again there, the policies that they would have versus what they've got now with that bitch Spanberger. And apparently she's just as liberal as it gets. I mean, they try and pitch this moderate campaign and they just go insane with crazy, they're trying to do all the redistricting, all these liberal states now. They said like Trump is the antichrist for trying to redistrict it or pushing Texas to redistrict. Meanwhile, they're doing it like in 10 different states now. I mean, it's all just this fake gaslighting, this fake moral standing. Youngkin can run in 2029. Yeah, you got to wonder the makeup of the state at that point, though, if there is a lot of migration out of it. I mean, I would still give it me. I mean, you'd still say he's the favorite, but it's a ways away from that. But the way they do their election is insane. How do you have any cohesion if you're not able to run again? At least get 2 terms out of a governor. That's crazy. To me, that's really just hampering your own state at that point. If you can't even get consecutive terms out of a governor, they outlaw it. Why did the Republican candidate lose? They picked a bad candidate. Well, I think in general, Virginia is just slightly more liberal, and you need a really good candidate. And think about it, Youngkin's running as an incumbent with a good approval, so Youngkin would have a huge advantage. Yeah, Earl Sears, that's who it was. Yeah, you're going. It's like a night and day difference with Earl Sears versus Youngkin. It's not even close. And also, again, Youngkin has the incumbency and the approval rating. I mean, I don't see how we would lose. But Earl Sears did get destroyed. I remember that was like I don't remember exactly, like 14 points or something. People thought it was going to be close. You wish Colorado had that law. Polls fucked up. Colorado is really liberal now. Look at what happened to Colorado over the past decade. 2016, we were looking at it, Hillary versus Trump, it possibly being a swing state. It's Cali migration. I guess it's also other liberal states, maybe Pacific state migration like Oregon and Washington, and everyone went to Colorado. Colorado's prices are just out of control, I hear. The major cities, Boulder, Denver, the prices are just ridiculous. The suburban areas surrounding them. Yeah, I mean, Colorado, you could understand it more of like a libertarian type state with the mountains, and it's just kind of gone. It's gone sideways the past 10 years with the liberalism, and it's the migration. I mean, they flee their policies and then they vote for the same thing, but they flee the heavy taxes. They love the heavy taxes, you would think. Still doesn't excuse Virginia voting for the AG, wanting to, that's right. That was insane, man. I mean, to them, it just doesn't matter, I guess. That's just kind of how politics are now, the 21st century. How do you become attorney general with those text messages? And that wasn't like something that was dug up from when the dude was a teenager. You're a grown ass man sending text messages about a politician like that 2 years ago, and you want to be the fucking attorney general, and then they vote for you? Oh my god. Like, oh yeah, he's not going to be biased or anything. Like, come on. That's. But I mean, that's just group loyalty. It's just liberal loyalty. They vote liberal down ballot. Colorado is done. Yeah, migration killed them. Colorado Springs used to be one of the most conservative places. Well, Colorado Springs, I'm sure, is still conservative, but maybe it's turning as well. Um, but yeah, it's just Colorado overall is completely gone at this point, and so I guess you trade that for a Florida, and Texas already obviously, but they thought they were going to swing Texas. I guess Florida and Ohio. Valentina Gomez essentially ruined her chances because she used a PO box for her campaign contributions or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, she wasn't going to win anyways. You can't keep going to these different states and expecting to win. It's just a pure grift. People are really not that stupid. I mean, you're going to go to 3 different states over 3 different election cycles and do the same exact thing. I just don't get it. Long-term, Georgia is cooked ever since they allowed Hollywood into the state. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think everyone's kind of hunkering down on Georgia and waiting for the year where it goes lib by like 5 points. And, obviously Trump has had success in Georgia. He's won it 2 out of 3 times. Georgia used to be Mississippi, as a deep red state. Obviously it's changed with the major, Atlanta's just such a huge city, the surrounding suburban areas. Atlanta airport is massive. They get so much traffic. But Atlanta in general has just become such a huge urban hotbed for minorities, a lot of black people moving in. And people are just waiting for Atlanta to heavily trend. The hope is that the Republicans can keep North Carolina competitive. But you could lose Georgia and still be fine, obviously, especially if you start swinging Pennsylvania, which I don't know if they're going to be able to do, but that's what people have been talking about. Maybe Republicans can swing Pennsylvania like they swung Ohio. Northern VA, yeah, that's why they need to make Washington they need to make the District of Columbia a square again. That'll take some of those voters away. The problem with that is then they would just demand statehood. I guess they already do. But I don't even think that would change much. But it would make Virginia less liberal, as if they added Alexandria to the District of Columbia again. Yeah, you're talking about BitTensor. No, that's the number one AI crypto. It's basically that is I don't know if you could say it's undervalued. It's the number one AI crypto. Tau. Yeah, no, that's a really reputable one, I would say, not financial advice. But I mean, it's basically the Bitcoin of the AI space in crypto. But I mean, this is the thing with making investments. I mean, you just don't know. It could still lose 30 more percent of its value if it's a bear market. So, but I don't know. I mean, it's gone down significantly. Give DC all of Northern Virginia, make them a state. +0 net blue states, +1 net red state. Yeah, but they would never do that. I don't even think they can make DC that large. I know what you're saying. I mean, it would be nice to do, but it'd just be like gerrymandering a state basically for Republicans. They wouldn't do that because you'd have to take a lot of the population. You'd have to take a lot of land from Northern Virginia to make sure that the rest of Greater Virginia is conservative. And they wouldn't agree to that. I mean, I get what you're saying. Tib. I'll take a look at that. Is it another AI coin? It's by virtuals. Why not just invest into virtuals? It's over 100 million. That's a pretty good chart. It's a pretty good chart. But I would just invest into virtuals, not one of the agents branched off of virtuals. But I'll have to look into it, man. It's been a little while. You think Trump knew what Epstein was up to? Um, Not really, no. I mean, it's hard to say. I don't know, man. To me, I think the files are inconclusive on Trump. People want to make assumptions and all this. From the information that was released, there's really nothing that destroys Trump in it. I mean, there's erroneous tips and erroneous things, but will ICE ramp up deportations? Not with the midterms, man. I don't know. Maybe they'll wrap them up in a quiet way. Maybe they'll do it in a bureaucratic way. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see them freeze bank accounts, but apparently it's unconstitutional to do that. You're sick of the Epstein situation? Well, I mean, dude, people would literally just gaslight you if you said that, and they'd say, "Well, you don't care about kids and stuff." That's what they do. I understand what you're saying, but that's just what they would say. So that I don't even really comment on it, honestly. Like I did a video because you kind of have to do a video about it, but again, it's just hilarious to see how these liberals suddenly care about it. A year ago, they were saying it was a hoax. But it's the administration's own fault for not being able to control a narrative that was easily controllable. They honestly could have said whatever they wanted to say a year ago on the Epstein files. As long as they didn't botch it, I mean, they would have been able to control it. watching any of the Winter Olympics. Thoughts on the opening ceremony? I do want to see the opening ceremony. It already happened, didn't it? But the Winter Olympics, they're always like a toned down version, and I like I like the Olympics in general. I think nationhood and you know, fighting for your country. I think there's something to that. I mean, now you see the countries with the immigration, and you kind of just like, okay, this is ridiculous, right? Like, seriously. But you know, some of the countries, it can be fun to say. I mean, but the Winter Olympics, there's not a whole lot to. Remember when they were in were the Winter Olympics in North Korea, like in 2019, 2018 maybe, or South Korea? I think they were in South Korea. I don't know. I thought I remember them being in Korea or something. Why is ICE working everywhere else, not in Minnesota? Has nothing to do with them ramping up or down. They are doing their job exactly their way they're supposed to. Well, I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see how many people they end up deporting. You know, I think it's a terrible situation, and it's a horrible look just for the country in general for us to not democratically allow these deportations. This is what was voted on, these deportations. You don't just get to say, well, I think it's mean, so it's not going to happen. This is what causes some serious problems down the line if they don't allow this. I mean, this is what we've done this by the book. It's all democratic. Trump said we're going to deport all the illegals. It's not like Trump said we're not going to deport anyone and then threw a curveball when he got into office and said, "Hey, look, now we're doing this." This is what was run on. So if we're not able to deport them now, I feel like there's going to be some big issues in the future. I think at some point it's just the demographical makeup is too different. There's too many people that are hardened on both sides, and the divide is growing. Now I don't know what that means. I don't know how that manifests exactly, but you're calling me a pedo defender? Have you read Biden's daughter's journal? I mean, that's the most ironic thing ever with when liberals do that. Like, imagine if Trump's daughter had something like that. That would be every millisecond to be talked about. Pay their taxes on crypto gains. I'm gonna have to file for losses. No, I haven't realized any losses, so I'm not gonna file for anything on crypto. Virtuals is more stable. BitTensor is number one AI like Bitcoin privacy coin. Be wary buying now, but keep eyes on 2028. Well, I mean, 2028, obviously, I think we're already going to see an uptrend by 2028. I would say you do have to be very wary of buying now. Because I think these coins, you know, if there's another leg down for Bitcoin, what does that mean for these AI coins? If Bitcoin's bottom is 40K, these really even if it's a major cap alt, it's going to go down by another 50%. So it's why you got a DCA into it if you're going to. I mean, but you know, if we believe in the 4-year cycle, this really isn't the bottom, unless it's like a crazy, you know, difference in terms of normally the bottom would happen in the summer or around there. Pizza or wings for the Super Bowl? I don't. I mean, yeah, we might get something. We're probably gonna get something. I don't know what it is exactly. Might be Italian, maybe. You think it was 60K? I mean, that's. I mean, based on history, I don't think that's the bottom. Obama ape thing was pretty bad. It really wasn't. I mean, especially when you look at the context of it, it really wasn't bad at all. It was an AI video. I mean, and it wasn't even the real video in which was involved. Also, I highly doubt Trump is sitting there screen recording these things and then posting them, and like that wasn't even the video that it was about. It's just like liberal bullshit where they screenshot something and take it out of context, which I guess is what they did with the very fine people and stuff like that. And so you kind of create these things without context. The King of the Jungle video. Yeah, I mean, it was just like an AI slop video. I mean, some people said they liked it. I mean, I just think it's AI slop. I guess it can be funny for people. It's just a comedy video. Laura Trump comments about UFO disclosure. She said she heard the president was considering making an announcement about disclosure. Yeah, dude, you know, the UFO stuff has just taken it's taken a battering. I mean, the UFO propaganda has been annihilated. Basically, they just say anytime there's UFO information, it's just to distract from something else. And at a certain point, that's not going to be true. I mean, they're going to actually say something. But whatever comes out about the UFO stuff, people are not going to take it seriously unless it's like some crazy development. They're just going to say it's a distraction from Epstein or something like that, or Iran or whatever. I mean, because they're about to strike Iran. I don't know when, but minute trade Minnesota for Alberta. That's not really realistic to do that. I don't want to lose land. Like, you know, Minnesota's obviously a tough situation, but I don't want to lose land like that in Minnesota. Elon would know about UFO and he's crazy enough to spill the beans. Yeah, he would 100%. He would say something. I feel like he would say something because he'd want to be the one to say it. It is such a huge thing for humanity. What market cap is the AI crypto you like? Well, I like BitTensor. I like Virtuals. I don't think I'm really ready to go into a risky option. I really can't do that. I feel like I have to go into a safer coin. So there's gonna have to be more capital involved if you invest into a coin that's multiple hundreds of millions or a billion in terms of market cap. But if you can snatch like a 20 or a 25x off of it, it's a massive gain. You know, versus this just normie slop of the Nasdaq or whatever. You're trying to get 10% every year. I mean, because the thing is you know, I'm fine with going in on to the Nasdaq or a 401k or whatever at 10%. If you're a millionaire, that's fine. You can make 100k, 150k a year. If you don't have the capital, it's hard to really go in on that. Do you think society is destabilizing right now? How do we stabilize? Well, I don't really know how to answer that because it's hard to gauge exactly. It's like everyone talks about a civil war. You really can't predict a civil war until it happens because we've never seen something like this in the modern time. So I don't know about society overall. I mean, I guess from a artificial intelligence sense, there's going to be a few things that happen that are going to really scare people. They're going to have to regulate the hell out of it. It's going to be a trial and error period for humanity. But maybe that's in the 2030s. People tend to think when they see something, it's going to progress extremely quickly. See, those robots, the functionality of those robots and getting them to perform tasks at a rate that is adequate, I think it's going to take many years. It's hard to get the mechanics perfect. They can do the little videos like the Boston Dynamics and they can show things, but it takes to get fluidness within a robot and make it actually a commercial product. It's very challenging. No, I'm not out of the crypto market. That would be then I would realize all my losses. I'm not out of the crypto market. Listen, there's really not much we can do. Um, it was a relatively bad cycle for Ethereum. I don't know where this leaves Ethereum. I think Ethereum's in a terrible spot. Who's going to be buying Ethereum now? Ethereum is like what XRP was in 2021 or 2022. When XRP didn't reach a new high from back in 2017 when it went to over $3, people were trying to cope and say it was because of the SEC. But what is Ethereum's excuse for its performance this cycle? What a terrible performance by Ethereum. I mean, were we really supposed to expect Ethereum would get bottlenecked at like 4,400? And that was at the end of the cycle. It went to 4,400. The entire cycle, it was shit. Yeah, you can easily tell the difference between a regular movie and an AI movie, and I think you'll be able to for a while. You think homeschooling is the way to go? Have you looked into how homeschooling is statistically a much better option? Interesting topic to look into. I've heard a lot of conservatives talk about homeschooling. I've also heard people say you shouldn't do it because the kid will be antisocial. But you get them in like after school programs and things like that. It depends. But private school, I mean, it's if you can afford it. But you do want there to be socialization. Monero reached a new high now. It's super low. I mean, Monero is a massive cap. What did it make, like a 5x this cycle? I mean, NASDAQ 3x. 3x, so 300% increase. NASDAQ, I highly doubt that. That's not going to happen. Maybe 10% per year on average, I'll say, with NASDAQ. Any of those, it's going to be 10% a year. So you must have the capital to really invest. I mean, you'll make guaranteed money 100%. I'm not disputing that. Shador Pro Bowl. Yeah, they did it because they are trying to get ratings. That's the only reason they did that. And no one else wants to play in it. They ask all these quarterbacks, you want to play in the Pro Bowl? None of them do. They need to stop the Pro Bowl. It's a joke. They're playing it on a Tuesday night in the dead of winter. Nobody cares about it. They're playing flag football in an indoor soccer facility. I mean, this is pathetic. They got to stop it. You know, they're trying to make money, I think, off the merchandise sales of like the Pro Bowl jerseys and things like that. The only reason it's still going on is because of money motivation. The product is horrible. They got to stop the Pro Bowl. They got to stop the game. They can still reward, people making the Pro Bowl, but you can honor them in a different way. But whatever they're doing is just terrible with the flag football, and it doesn't even make sense. Thoughts on liberals rooting against the USA in the Olympics? I don't know about that. I mean, who cares? I hope the U.S. does well, but I don't know. It's the Olympics. Like, either way, it doesn't really change much for me. NASDAQ 3X is the TQQQ. Past 10 years, it's made like 30 times. So in past 10 years, you're insinuating it's gone up 3,000%? Iran's ballistic missile program is a threat? Yeah, I highly doubt that. Especially after their last performance, after the U.S. struck their facilities, they didn't do shit. Especially, don't they get a lot of their equipment, their defense equipment, from the Chinese, and it's always rubbish? I don't know why I said rubbish. I'm not a British person. I just thought about using that word, and I was like, I guess I'll use it right when I said it. But their defense system, it's all Chinese technology. It sucks. The Chinese defense technology has performed terribly, from what I heard. You know, they used an EMP on the fucking Venezuelans. They had Maduro fully guarded. They just shut down their entire grid with an EMP. Thoughts on Mr. Beast? The trans thing a couple years ago did not affect him. He's a weirdo, man. He does this thing where he tries to act like he has no money, and I don't really get the point of it. It doesn't really make sense. I mean, anyone that understands rich people know their money is constantly moving. No, you obviously don't have $1 billion in your bank account, but I don't get why he always has to try and act like he has no money. It's pretty pathetic. I guess he's trying to appeal to normies. No, no, no. If it's made a 3x, that's 300%. You said it made a 30x, that would be 3,000%. In the past 10 years, if it's made a 300% gain, that's really not I mean, it's a solid gain for a safe asset, but it's nothing. It's not life changing. A 300% gain in 10 years is definitely not life changing. I mean, it's a nice gain again for a safe asset. I would take that. You know, because what the Nasdaq or really any of those indexes normally do is they do 100% gain in 10 years, not 300%. So, but the other thing is, dude, if it's made a 30x, why would I invest into it now? You're buying, I mean, yeah, it'll probably keep going up because it's stocks and not crypto, but probably not the same rate. Update on crypto portfolio. Bro, I got to go into like a safe AI coin. I mean, I'm going to try and take advantage of this, but this is really, I have to get into like a safer AI coin and get like a 20x or something. I feel like I really got to take advantage of this drop. But honestly, I'm a little gun shy now. It's like, do I just go into normie slop NASDAQ and just try and be like a normie? But I don't know, man. I can't do it because it's like I don't have the capital to just sit back and make passive like 100K a year off of an indexed. Maybe I'll go into the CMC 20. You know, they got crypto indexes now, but they're all heavily Bitcoin based. So it's like, what is it going to do? A 4 or 5x in a bull run? Like the CMC 20 might do like a maybe a 10x if we have a crazy bull run. Favorite for the Super Bowl? I don't really care. I guess Seahawks, I think, are going to win. The Patriots' schedule is historically bad. It does feel like the Patriots are going to be outed as a bit of a fraud the way it's lining up right now. But I don't even like the Seahawks that much. Like, what's this? What's so great about the Seahawks? What they have? I don't really. I'm not really all that impressed by either of these teams, honestly. I don't think there's really any great teams in the NFL when you look at it. Crypto was in the files. You think that's why it's crashing? I don't know. I mean, when you look at crypto even before that, it was kind of it was stuck in the 80s and it was already like negative price action. I mean, they were trying to tie like Epstein to the creation of Bitcoin. I feel like to me they're just reaching. But a lot of people are really going, they're trashing Bitcoin. It's the never-ending cycle. 2022 they said Bitcoin's dead. 2018 they said Bitcoin's dead. 2026 they say Bitcoin's dead. People in the comments were telling me that. I was like, bro, we're not going to do this. But now they say, well, because most of it's already mined, it's already in circulation, it has no purpose. You should always diversify. Yeah, no, I agree. I think you should diversify 100%. I mean, I'm looking to deploy an investment probably into the stock market. I'm not looking forward to it though. But you're just losing money with it's pretty much all going to be in places. I'm going to carry a very small amount, just like all the gurus. You carry a very small amount in your bank account. I'm going to try and go into on a higher cap, AI play, and just try and get like a 20x realistically or a 10x. I don't need a 100x if I go into a higher caps where I feel safer in investing more money. Why don't you pick individual stocks instead? You're up 111% on Google. 111% in what time period? Well, I mean, yeah, if any of like what is it, the Magnificent Six or if any of those are down significantly, it might make sense. I mean, obviously, Tesla 7 years ago would have been a great investment in it for an individual stock. You could make serious money off individual stocks, and there's also normally a safety net. But, you know, if all the stocks are up at this point, it's kind of like, your friend had a 100K portfolio, lost 30K overnight to BTC. So he has one Bitcoin about. I was tempted to look at buying a Bitcoin based on where it is. I don't know if I see the point in buying a Bitcoin. It's more of just like to say you have a Bitcoin. Is that what people do? You know, because Bitcoin's under 70K, do I consider just buying a whole Bitcoin? But again, it's like, what is Bitcoin really going to do this next run? 250K? So I'm buying a 5x over the next 3 years? I don't know about that. What do you think of silver, gold? I wouldn't be interested in buying. You're buying at the top. I mean, maybe they keep going up, but that's not something you'd be interested in buying at this point. I mean, I give credit to the people that made money off silver and gold, but look at the way silver is acting, especially that it's acting like a meme coin almost. Well, not like a meme coin, but how does silver lose like 30% of its value in 2 days? I don't. It's crazy for a precious metal. SpaceX. Yeah, I was looking at that. I was thinking maybe I'll just do the SpaceX, but you have to think. I mean, you feel every one of Musk's companies is so overvalued relative to what it's actually worth. So many people are going to be, so many sharks are going to be involved with SpaceX and seeing what Tesla did. So it probably will be overvalued. Although I don't know, honestly, in terms of the release of a new stock, you know, because it's different with crypto. Normally, crypto takes immediately when something gets released. But my thought process isn't, the early investors into that. I feel like it's a challenge to invest into the SpaceX stock. I mean, everybody would want to be buying the SpaceX. They think, SpaceX is going to get us to Mars or whatever. There's a crazy narrative there, and it'll just be overvalued to shit, probably. TQQQ chart. Last 5 years. Bro, come on. All right, October of 2022, it was $280. Now it's done like a 3x the past. I mean, it's fine. It's fine, but you got to go into it for a long term, long time. And also 2022, that was probably in the remnants of the crypto shit, or no, the COVID shit. Yeah, I did see that video of the business trying to of the employees, or the liberals trying to force the employees to put. That's crazy. That was at like a fucking. It's a bunch of liberal white women trying to bully a yoga center or something to put up anti-ice signs. I mean, this is just what kind of what the society has devolved into, I guess. 2022 was the Biden recession. Well, there was major inflation in 2022, but they'll just blame it on COVID. But we did have major inflation. The problem was we had major inflation with no growth, no GDP growth. That's a bad fucking combo. But they just say it's COVID. Oh. Yeah, I was definitely broke in 2020. There's no way I would have been able to buy BTC at 3K. But 2022 I was still kind of broke anyways. So I wasn't gonna buy anything. Stagflation. They were trying to call what Trump is doing stagflation because we had low GDP growth in quarter one of last year, but obviously we've had significant growth now. Nobody's going to watch the alternative halftime show. Yeah, I mean, I think it's all just terrible. I mean, but I like, I mean, the Bad Bunny stuff. It's just it's a humiliation ritual to the country. That's all it is. It's a humiliation ritual. He's gonna come out. They say he's wearing a dress. He's talking in Spanish, and they don't care. It's all globalist capitalism. That's really what it is. That's incentivizing this something like this happening. You can't really call it stagflation if inflation is around 2 to 3%. Yeah, well, they were just basing it off of the low GDP growth in Q1 of last year, but I agree. I don't think inflation was even high enough to where you'd call it that. You'd have to have inflation at 5 or 6% with basically no growth. I mean, that's what we had in 2022. It was 8 or 9% inflation with basically no growth. I guess negative growth technically. If you were to start a business, what would you get into? I don't know, man. That seems like a really it seems like a lot of a heavy investment to try and start a business. Bad Bunny won a lot of Grammy awards. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that, man. I mean, I think they just give them to the people that are on top of the charts. So he was probably in the top. But I mean, obviously he's globally known, but he's really not a U.S. type performer, which is why people are so angry. And again, it's obvious. It's motivated by trying to expand into different markets. Don't Why don't you invest in Nvidia? Well, Nvidia is like the most valued, outside of precious metals, it's the most valuable stock. What's the point of investing in Nvidia at this point? I mean, will Nvidia maybe Nvidia would give me a better return, honestly, than honestly, that's probably a good thing to look up. Just look up Google, Microsoft, Nvidia, Tesla. Well, Tesla's more volatile, but they could potentially give me a better return than even than those indexes. Those indexes are too stagnant. The VU, the QQQ, S&P. Yeah, I remember that was a satanic ritual they performed in 2024. I'm surprised that was pretty risky to do that for our opening ceremony for the Olympics. Not good. Not good at all. Tesla is now about all about robots. Yeah, with the robocar. They're trying to really it's already an overvalued company, but maybe it deserves to be based on the future and their innovation. It's a lot of it's speculation on how they'll innovate. But yeah, they got the robot, they got Optimus, that's what their robot is. What visa is Bad Bunny on? He's on an H1B. No, I'm kidding. Now he's Puerto Rican, so we have Puerto Rico as a territory. But I'm sure that's going to be the big joke tomorrow. Americans don't know Puerto Rico is a territory, so he's legal. Oh, har har har. XRP is going to go. Maybe XRP, the XRP maxis, they were right. They win. Nah, man, they've had a tough time the past few weeks. XRP's back under $2. It's like under $1.50, I think. Dude, XRP, they should have kept it as Ripple. Remember when it was a Ripple and the ticker was XRP? I mean, it's the company, but then they rebranded it. When it was Ripple, I mean, I thought that was when it made a crazy run in 2017 when it was Ripple. The coin's name was Ripple, the ticker was XRP, then they changed it both to XRP. Explain why Nick Fuentes hates JD Vance. Because Nick Fuentes has his own political movement. He's further right wing and he wants the supporters of JD Vance. So why would he support Vance if he wants the supporters? Think about it. But Vance also, he does have his own issues with the connections that he has, and he was anti-Trump, and there's some authenticity problems with Vance. Yeah, this crypto cycle was horrible. People trying to dunk on me. Jake Lang got arrested again. All these Super Bowls are the top watch stuff, really. Oh, I was on Top Chat. F that. Kirkified images. Yeah, they're getting kind of old at this point. They're getting overused. I actually haven't seen many of them recently, but I saw them like 4 or 5 months ago. But Milo drama with Sarah Stock and Elijah Schaefer. Yeah, what a fucked up situation that is. That was a big influencer drama. But I don't know who those people are. I mean, it's just like, obviously when you say you're trad and then you have something like that happen, it's just that's gonna hurt the overall movement, I guess. But so it's not good. Yeah, Jake Lang. I mean, he was a January 6er. He was in jail for like 4 years or whatever. So this is kind of what he does. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Mendoza will ever be a great quarterback. He'll probably be a pretty good quarterback in the NFL. Is this true? Keir Starmer expected to resign as early as next week. What's happening in Britain? Former Chiefs defensive end. You think they get? It was Darren Lee, linebacker, former linebacker. Pavia is a clown. I think the Seahawks win. I think the Seahawks win. Honestly, probably like I don't know, 31-9. I think 31-9. The Seahawks win. Seahawks 31, Patriots 9. Seahawks 34-11. How are they going to get 11 and what a 2-point conversion? I have them missing a 2-point conversion, actually. I have them missing an extra point.
Is agreeing to voter ID one of those compromises that you'd support?
I don't think that we should underestimate what that could mean. Because in some people's mind, that means, well, you're going to have to Xerox or photocopy your ID to send it in to prove you are who you are. Well, there are a whole lot of people, especially people who live in rural communities, who don't. There's no Kinko's, there's no Office Max near them. People have to understand that when we're talking about voter ID laws, be clear about who you have in mind and what would be required of them to prove who they are.
This doesn't even make sense. What does that mean? The Saints are going to be staying at the Superdome for a while because it's just got a $400 million renovation to it, the interior of it. So they're going to be staying there for a pretty long time. I don't know how long, but yeah, I mean Drake May's obviously a pretty good quarterback. I don't know if he's this great quarterback. He had a good year, but they had a very easy schedule. I don't know about Sarah Stock. I mean, obviously she cheated with Elijah Schaefer. It looks like it's a terrible situation, and apparently she just deleted everything. And I think she's gonna try and come back. They always come back. They always come back. But yeah, not good for trad right wing women, I guess. Poly Market opening a free grocery store in New York. Pretty ironic, right? The Poly Market, the like legit capitalist central website Poly Market opens up a socialist to free market food market because they made a bunch of money, I guess. You work at a pizza shop, people are going to be placing their orders in early. Yeah, it's probably the busiest day of the year. Well, that or New Year's Eve for pizza shops. Probably. Yeah, right. I mean, dude, the thing is with these people, they say, well, it's whatever. They say everyone sins and stuff. I mean, but if you say you're a trad right wing person and you're cheating like that, I mean, that's just people are not gonna really take much seriously. You know, after a situation like that, they're really not gonna take you seriously. Favorite QB growing up? I don't know, maybe Peyton Manning. But I mean, and, you know, I wasn't a Broncos fan or a Colts fan. I didn't really have a favorite quarterback. I mean, Aaron Rodgers when he was on Green Bay was a beast, but all right, guys, that's gonna do it for this live stream. I'm gonna end it there. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. I appreciate the $100 donation. The $100 donation, that was very nice. Remember the dude a few streams ago that super chatted that Americans should feel regret? His name was Fatty Matt. Yeah, he was a liberal, but he kept super chatting me. I mean, it was an interesting situation. All right, guys, I'll see you later.